Hey everybody, it's Tony here, Ai2 Products. This video we are going to cover the install of the Quick Attach on the 80 series loader. There's a little different, whatever you want to call it. It's basically the same but slightly different. But before we start taking this thing apart, I just want to show everybody one of the big reasons why there's a feature on the new Quick Attach, and one of the reasons we had to update the Quick Attach so people can understand this. So I'm going to fire up the tractor. Be a little noisy, of course, but yeah, let's get rolling. Make it happen. There, we'll shut that off so everybody can hear. So what Kubota did on these 80 series is now they've got this, this release for the loader kickstand feature that you can undo right from the seat. You know, on previous versions we had to pull a pin from here and it would lower down and it would pivot at a point kind of a little up the loader arm from here. Well, now it all pivots off this common center line here where the bucket, this and the bucket are pivoting on the same point. Excuse me. So what happens when you roll this thing all the way forward, you notice these big bolts here, is they're pressing on these little releases here. So when this thing rolls forward and it makes contact here with that arm, this, because the orange part is the kickstand, this kind of zinc plated part is the lock mechanism for that. So what that does is it puts a little bit of pressure on the lift and it releases the lock, so we can come back here and do this little whammy thing. And boom, now it lets, you can see this arm here. I'll run it again so everybody can see it. It releases that. So I'll fire it up again and you'll see, for those of you that don't know, for those of you that have a tractor, you probably already know this, but we'll do it anyway. Voila! So now you can see that's what the function of these bolts are. Now I don't know why Kubota went with such a big bolt. I think they went with a big bolt just so they had a big head on it, because all they really need is surface area. There really isn't any weight per se on this other than this unit itself, which probably weighs 25 pounds. It's not a lot of weight on there. So I'm just kind of giving you that kind of, what do you want to call it, preview of this, so you understand once we get further on down the line why why the updates were made to it here. So I'll put it back up in place so you can, and then we'll get on with this here. So I'll fire this up one more time. So what we need to do this is, I highly recommend you get yourself some nice zip ties, and that'll come into play here in a second. A snap ring pliers. These are 12mm wrenches, just double ones, just to undo the bolts on that. And then I use the standard bolts on my stuff, so they're just 3/8 and 1/2 inch. I got 3/8 here and 1/2 inch here. So the first thing I do on these 80 series is I take these zip ties, and you can use zip ties, you can use a ratchet strap, duct tape, I guess whatever works. Big long ones work the best, and I go underneath here, and I zip tie these bad boys nice and tight so it holds that kickstand in place. The first time I did this, I did not do this. And you need a third arm to put it back together, or a second person. And I had neither the third arm or the second person around when I was doing this.
Did you say a few curse words?
I used foul language, the colorful kind, and yeah. I cursed Kubota a little bit on that one. So this is what I do anyways. It seems to work pretty good. And all you're trying to do, and that's why I wanted to show everybody what goes on here with this kickstand deal. So I kind of wrap it in here through this little scissor linkage thing like this. Just get it nice and tight, because that'll just hold that thing in place for you. It's all we're trying to do. So when you pull the pins out, this thing doesn't just flop to the ground. Jeez, flop to the ground, and you're uttering WTF and saying, what am I going to do now? See, it just puts some nice pressure on there. And now the other thing is this, you're not going to probably do this when you got a skid loader hitch. Now this is the tractor I have, and this only applies to people with pin-on buckets. If you've got the skid loader hitch, more than likely you're not going to switch it. But since I don't have a tractor with the pin-on bucket, and it doesn't seem like anybody around here has one, but I've sold several of these to people that do, and I know it works, so it's a pretty decent process. And I've got some pictures from one of my customers that will have a picture of the factory bucket, so you can kind of see that, and we'll put that into the video here later. So we're just going to pretend that the skid loader hitch isn't there, because it's really the same process either way. So we're going to start by undoing these bolts right here. And this is just what holds that pin in place. And these are your 12 millimeter bolts here. And we'll reuse these again when we're done. I'll just set these here for now. And some of this, Angie might just edit out some of the, so we'll get to the nitty gritty that way. And then we'll take this one out as well. Ratchet wrench, yeah. It is actually fairly straightforward, or fairly simple, and it works almost exactly the same as the other one. You know, it's the classic same but different. Okay, there's a little pressure on that pin, but we'll... And then the snap ring pliers, because there is a small snap ring on both of these pins that you need to remove right here. That one, don't lose it, please. Then you'll be cussing. And this one. And we'll reuse these again when we put it back together. And hopefully I can do this without it flinging off and going across the road. And now, what we're going to do is lower the bucket back down to take the pressure off these pins. I'll try to find that happy spot for it so it'll go down and the pins will slide out effortlessly. Not. I'm sure they'll fight me all the way. We'll get this bolt out of here. Of course, it's not going to go my way today on this one. It's going to fight me. Don't let it get the best of you. I'll use the old dead blow on that one. If you are going to pound on bolts, use something like a dead blow hammer so you don't wreck the threads. Well, after we repaired my finger, took a nice chunk out of it. She's starting to throb a little bit, so if I tear up a little, bear with me. So yeah,
I can flip you all off. It's just
yeah, I took a big wad. I don't know what the hell I hit, but whatever it is, watch out when you do it, because there's obviously some stuff in there. So I just took a little center punch, push these pins out. Just like that's probably why, because it's all the weight of that thing's pulling it backwards. Whew, that blew. But now it'll get simpler. I say a pin-on bucket will lay flatter. It won't have all that. It won't have a 100-pound frickin' quick attach hanging off the back of it, because that's what sucks about that, is it's just a heavy beast. Plus, on this tractor, since I've had it a couple of different times with the development of the new quick attach, I've taken the pins in and I've wiped all the grease off, so there's no grease on these pins, so they're pretty well dry. So we're gonna, yeah, this is like a lot of weight right there, just dangling on that sucker. So now we're going to lift this thing back up. And one thing you didn't see when I was pushing those pins out, there's two washers like this. When it goes together, they slide right in here. They're just like a shim for those things. So they'll get put back in when we put it back together. But now you can see why we put the zip ties on there, because otherwise this whole thing would just go bloop. You'd be hanging on the ground, you'd be saying, what the, you know what comes after that. And that's what we're gonna do, but that's why we do that. So now, and what you'll see, here, we'll go over to the quick attach. So when you get the quick attach, and you get it out of the box, this is exactly how it's gonna look. So these two pins that you took out of the lower portion there, let's pretend this is that pin on bucket. They're just gonna get slid right back. They're gonna get slid right back in like that. Because your pin on bucket will have basically the same mount on the back, it just won't have the quick attach with it. And you'll bolt those back in just like they were. I'm just going to hand tighten them in just because we're going to leave this one off, and we're going to actually leave the quick attach on this tractor. This customer had the quick attach on a previous version, so he has some attachments that he bought from me and he wants to continue to use them, so we're switching it back to this, and he's not going to use this. Plus he can notice a lift capacity difference from his old one to his new one. He says that older one lifted more than this one does, and getting rid of that excess weight will help. So that's, when you get the quick attach, you're going to see these pins will be in the back and this pin will be in here. And kind of like when you buy when I send out for or if you buy one for an older BX, it'll just come with these two pins in this position, but we're going to worry about this one right now. So this pin, these are custom pins that are made to basically look just like, I'll get my bad finger out of there, just like those other ones. As you can see, got the same little grease channel in them, same snap ring groove, same everything there, but obviously I don't run this style mount on the quick attach. I have that cross bolted. They do put one on the inside there. I have yet to figure out what that does. If anybody knows, I guess let me know why there is one of those on there. Maybe they had extra bushings. So you'll take these pins out. This pin here will come out, and like all of them, it will go back into your bucket. So we would put this pin right in here, which for some reason that one won't go in. Probably because there's too much paint on this one, which tends to be a problem sometimes. They get too much paint on these. But the zinc plated one will go in there, it should. Oh yeah, the zinc plated one goes in because it doesn't have such a thick coat of paint. So, good point that I did. If you have trouble getting that one in, they do tend to get a little thick with the paint. Take some of the paint off. That's what the problem is. Because these are exact same pin. This one's been powder coated, this one's been zinc plated. And I'm going to get more of these, but I ran out and it's such a wait time to get these. I just had these painted. So that'll go back in, except you'll have a painted one more than likely going back in there. So that'll basically set your bucket up back the way it was. And then you'll be able to just clip into it. The quick attach I don't think will work on here because it'll hit something on there, but I know it works on the factory bucket. Because we do have these in the field at this point. So then you also notice too on the quick attach you've got these little feet that are screwed in. Now if you don't have an 80 series, you're still going to have, these feet won't be in there, but you'll have this. This mount will be there, it just won't get used on the other ones. This is only for the 80 series machine, this part here. So now we'll take and put these pins, where's a good place for them? Right there. And we'll put this beast. Some people use a stand to put them on. Key is just kind of get these started so it's in position and you're not fighting it. So there. So now we want to get this thing up. Shove the pin in. Wow, it's like it's coming through, but there's like just a little bit of buildup of paint on that. So get that washer in there. And then voila! Now we get the other side to do that without being such a turd. And we'll get that snap ring on, just so that thing don't come apart again. That snap ring goes on there. So that goes in. We'll just put that bad boy right there. So now, it's like once we got past that little ridge of paint on there, then it went right on. Paint is our friend once everything's together, but and the quick attaches, I tell people, the attachments in general too, when they got brand new paint on them, they tend to be a little tougher to go on because the paint's on a little too thick. Once you use everything and you kind of rub paint off where it needs to get rubbed off, then they're no problem. So we will get these pins in. And one thing when you're pushing these pins through, you want to try to make sure you align the holes, which I didn't do. Let's use this one. So when you push that pin in, it actually lines up the way it's supposed to. So there, we got that one in. See if that snap ring back in place. So then we just need a 7/16 wrench to just tighten these little boys back down. They don't have to be tight, I just snug them up. All those bolts do is just keep them pins from coming out. So there really should never be any pressure on them, or very little anyways.
I can see ideally you'd want to have like a little stand to have all that stuff handy right there so you're not having to bend down all the time.
That wouldn't hurt. That's a good point, yeah. Then the big pin goes back in. I say, and this one's got a grease zerk on the end, so you want to make sure you put that one back in here. It's on the opposite end. Holy smokes. What the hell happened there?
Pull it so hard and you
It
pull
went right in.
somewhere,
Yeah,
see?
it's like, Jesus. Oh, spoke too soon. There we go. Yeah, that one's just being kind of a little bit of a goofball too. This one's kind of fun to put on. If you're fat-fingered, it's a little tricky. So yeah, that is more or less the basic. So it is go on basically the same way as the other one does, just a little bit difference in the pins. So now what we're going to do, I'll tighten that up here. Tighten that bolt up. Use the right end of the ratchet wrench. If you're trying to call me right now, I'm kind of busy. I hear the phone ringing. We'll get to you. We'll get to you. I just get it snug so it can. And they're all nylock nuts, so they're not going to vibrate loose. So now we will take, let me go grab a side cutter quick. I should have grabbed that right away. So now we can take and cut the zip ties off. Stand back just in case things go flying. They shouldn't. See, and those can go into the garbage. So now the next thing we're going to do is fire this bad boy up again. Because right now, these heads for these, can you see those heads there?
Yes.
These bolts, they're turned all the way in when you get it. So you just spin them out until they come in contact with the same thing as the other one. As you spin them out, and it'll push so that back. This is just setting the adjustment for your kickstand thing. And I turn them back to where they come in contact, and then you actually put a little bit of pressure on the kickstand itself, not just touching it, but just a little bit of pressure on it, so you can kind of set so when it hits it, it'll actually release, and then you just roll this back, and I think that's a 9/16. And then you just take and set that jam nut so it doesn't move, and then we do the same on this side again. I'm used to talking people through this on the phone because I haven't had a video of this, so it's about damn time, because this makes it much easier. And you can see all the fun I got to deal with here for whatever reason. So you gotta push up on the kickstand a little bit, just so you got a little pressure on there, and then lock that jam nut into place, and that really should be the last time you have to screw with that. So now, if I release this, it should just hang there. See how now it's hanging there? We'll fire it up. And that will still work the way it's designed to work. And then once you ever get everything in there and say wear some of that paint in. And the nice thing with these and those bolts is the pin has to rotate with everything, so it shouldn't really ever seize in there. And then obviously I tell everybody pump some grease into this thing and grease this thing back up. And when you take those pins off and put them back in your bucket, wipe all the grease off them. You don't want dirty greasy pins on there, because all they're going to do is collect crap. So you just dry all the grease off. But we'll kind of cycle through this here again now. So there, now it's, technically you would still have the bucket on here. But I don't think, oh, I've got to try this once. I get asked that, can you take the loader off with just the quick attach? And I don't think there's enough extra leverage there to make it work right. But you'd have your bucket on, and then you can put it back into place again. So there, now you're basically, the quick attach is on. You would be able to just run up to your bucket and hook onto it, and you can see how that works in other ones. I don't have another bucket. I guess I could hook it to my factory bucket. We could do that if we wanted to, because it works identical at that point. But the factory bucket, the new factory bucket, will look basically just like mine. It'll have mounts that look like this on it. They'll be very similar to this, and it has this big boss here for that kickstand bolt. That's what your factory one like. But this is just mainly a video to show you how to put this thing on and what small little challenges there are, you know, with chunks of finger and all that stuff. But so it's pretty straightforward. I say it goes on basically the same as the other one. You just have the extra securement of the kickstand feature, so that will stay in place, so when you're taking it apart it doesn't just fall to the ground and make a big mess, because that does suck. I have dealt with that. It's not fun. So to wrap this up, you see what it takes to put the 80 series quick hitch, or the quick hitch, on the 80 series tractor. So now you actually can convert it. You talk to the dealer and they're going to say, nope, the only option you have is the skid loader hitch or the pin on bucket. Well, now we've got, I'm pretty sure we're the only one in the country, if not the world, that makes a quick attach that is compatible with this. And I know we're the only one that makes a quick attach that This same quick attach is compatible with every BX tractor ever made. It will go on every one of them, so you don't have to worry about necessarily which one you have, because it will fit them all. It's just a matter of how you install it that varies, you know, just slightly. But say you did put it on a 2200, and then a year down the road you want to go to an 80 series. Well, now this quick attach can just go right on your 80 series. There is an extra charge for the pin kit, so you get that pin and these leveling feet for that, and that's another $40. It's $39.95 for that pin kit, so it's, you know, you got the price of the quick attach plus that. So if you buy just a regular quick attach, you're not going to have those extra pins. You're just going, these will just be blank and not used. If you have any questions, email me at tony@bxattachments.com. Check us out on our website. Make sure you subscribe down below. Like us if you like the video. Hit the little bell button so you can get any notifications if we do put out a new video. Oh, I shouldn't say if, when we put out new videos. And check us out on Facebook. Call us at 320-331-1055. And check out our BX group page, the BXer Network group page. So yeah, best way to get a hold of me is just shoot me an email. That way it sits in front of me and I see it right away. But yeah, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to call. And until next time, thank you very much, and we'll see you again.
Cool.
Is that better?
Yes.
Since I was looking at you and you're just like, what? Hopefully I don't. Ow, ow, ow.
What'd you do?
Took a chunk out of my finger there.
Ow.
Yeah, I hooked something when I yanked out. Anyway, ouch. Ooh. It's a big chunk too. Might need a Band-Aid for that. Just in my defense, I am ex-military and was a truck driver for years, so I've got the vocabulary that goes with it. You're just getting the clean side of it for the most part. What do you think, Ange? I'm not sure where to go. We'll cut some of this out right here.
Installation of the
Yeah.
map on this tractor.
I gotta wipe my nose. I'm tearing up from my finger yet. Got a little runny nose from that.
Pretty bad.
I'm braving through the pain. That's like a massive chunk that took out of there too. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.